what type of problems are your clients having? Like, what is their main focus? Because they look really fit. Are most of them interested in competition? Are they interested in health? Or
no, most of them are just interested in looking good at whatever function they're going to go to. Yeah. The ones that you just saw were competitors, so they're getting ready for shows. Getting ready to compete in shows. I would say that makes up about 5% of my population, but everyone you see was over 45. Majority of everyone else, it's okay. I don't want to hurt my lower back anymore. Hey, my knees are hurting. How can I work around that? My elbows are tender. What do I need to do? Hey, I'm vacationing in Italy for 2 weeks. Just get me looking good for those 2 weeks, and then I'll see when I get back. So it's a lot of that. But most of the time, people just want to feel good. Like, they want to get out of bed. They understand when they first wake up that it's kind of like, it's kind of creaky. But once they get moving, they're good. That's what majority of them want. Just want to feel like they want the later half in life, so to speak, to feel just like it was when they was in their 30s. But they realize they can't drink as much. Just can't drink as much.
Straight to the depths of
the
What do you get? I'm sure you get clients who first time they had never worked out. 45, like, I've never really worked out, and I see my parents deteriorate, and I don't want to end up like that. But they're super intimidated about coming to a gym because there's a lot of in shape people here, and that can be intimidating. What would you say to someone like that?
So what I was telling them is this: like, every environment is intimidating when you first walk into it. When you walk into your first job, it was intimidating. When you started your brand new career, it was intimidating. Everything when you first initially start is going to be intimidating because you're walking into a foreign environment. But if you're going to walk into that foreign environment and let's say it is working out, you might want to hire somebody to guide you through the stuff just to teach you the basics. Once you have the basics, then make the decision whether you're going to venture off on your own or continue on with your coach. Totally up to you. But at least walk into the environment, because if you know you need that environment, if you know you need what's inside of that environment, don't let fear keep you out the door. Because the fear that's keeping you out of the fitness door is the same fear that's making you run to your doctor's door.
Getting the medication.
Because either way, it's going to cost you. Yeah. Whether you pay inside of a fitness group training session, one-on-one with a coach, or you just go in and do it on your own, you're going to pay there the same way you're going to pay when you go to a doctor. Okay. You're going to pay one way or another. So
someone coming in with pre-existing injuries. So we talked about obviously the 40 plus clientele. Someone coming in with the pre-existing injuries, and it's like, hey, I have this elbow that doesn't move this way. Obviously, you could probably try to work around it. But what does that look like? Are they really going to be able to, if you have someone who has an elbow injury, they really can't do a lot of pressing movements? I mean, what is the chest and the shoulder development going to look like to a person like that when it's like, well, I don't know really what we can do with that elbow that doesn't bend that way?
Yeah, well, we just work around, like, there's a workaround for everything. So what I typically if someone has like a elbow injury, I try to figure out where it's starting from. What's the root cause? Like, is it the root cause because you just haven't been moving your elbow because every time you move it, it hurts? Or is the root cause because of maybe something in the tricep or the shoulder? We need to figure out what the root cause is first. Once I establish what the root cause is, then we build out a program to first fix the root cause. Once we fix the root cause, then we could go on to pressing and things like that. But until we just establish what the root cause is, we can't really move any further. Because if the root cause is up here, then we work on what's going on in your head. But if the root cause is actually something that's physically going on with the elbow, that maybe it's being caused by the tricep, or maybe it could be arthritis. We just don't know until we figure that portion out. But we have to figure the root cause out first before we move on to what's next.
Okay. With the 40 plus crowd, you start deteriorating because I asked you the other day over the phone. So the misconceptions of taking some type of performance enhancing drug, whether you're trying to do like a lipotropic, or you're trying to do a TRT or a steroid or something like that. Right. It's like, what are some of the misconceptions that people have with those, as far as it almost like being like a magic pill?
Well, that typically, the biggest misconception that I'm personally seeing, I can't speak for everyone else. The biggest misconception I'm seeing is that once people start to go that route of performance enhancing or HRT, whatever the case may be, they think it's the cure all for be all. So they automatically assume that, okay, because I'm doing HRT or because I'm taking a performance enhancing drug, I don't have to work as hard. And that's the biggest misconception, not realizing that, yeah, this is going to make you feel better, but you still have to put in some work. Like you still gonna have to go put in work. Otherwise, if you don't, your body's literally going to convert all of that stuff to estrogen. For men, convert it to estrogen, and everything's still going to go south. So, regardless of which avenue you take, you still have to put in the work. There's no avoiding the work. Like the work has to happen. The body needs movement in order to stay functional. So without that movement, you're doing nothing more than doing an HRT program and becoming a super couch potato. So your body needs movement. It constantly needs movement. So so that's what I would highly recommend. Like, I don't care if you do performance enhancement. I don't care if you're on an HRT. Once you hit 40, those are things you should consider, because our hormone levels do change and they're bouncing back and forth and they're all over the place. A lot so for women, but when men start to go through those hormonal changes, we get angry because we're used to having a set pattern, and all of a sudden, you're laying in bed, you're like, why do I feel like I can't get out of bed? What's wrong with me? Like, what's going on? Why do I feel like I gotta get up now, because I gotta force myself to get up because I got things I need to handle? But you start getting angry at yourself, getting angry with the world, because your body chemistry is changing. Mm-hmm. And it hit men harder than it actually hit women. It does hit women hard, but it hit men even harder because we're still trying to fight and resist, not going like, hey, buddy, it's time. Like, it's time for you to get your hormonal levels checked to figure out where you're at. To figure out, maybe, can you fix this with over-the-counter, maybe some over-the-counter products, or fix it with just starting back to maybe working out again. See what needs to be fixed, so that way you start feeling a little bit better. But as men, because we're so used to a set pattern, what happens is when we're running down that pattern, and we hit a wall, and it's like, okay, I gotta get through this wall. Well, you've been trying to spearhead through the wall like you normally would do. Well, your body's not responding, nor is your mind, so it becomes frustrated. And that frustration turns to anger. And you're just pissed off all the time, and don't even know why.
Pretty sure I've experienced it myself. So I'm working.
Yeah. Why is it not working?
Yeah. So, yes, I don't know. So that's the next point. So I had to follow up to something like that, and it just totally lost me.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Because it's like you just described like what I'm going through.
Yeah.
It's like 6 months. I'm like, oh yeah,
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it sounds very familiar. So it does. It does. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have questions like, is there any type of quick fix? What can I do today to start losing like the belly fat? That's probably a lot of comments and questions that I see on the internet, is like, how do I get started losing weight? And I see so many other fitness people just say, oh, just get moving. It's like, but to someone who doesn't know how to move, it's like, I don't know how to move. It's like, well, I mean, you can go for a walk. It's like, that's an easy one. But they never describe it. That's I think, a frustrating part for someone that I see who is a beginner, or they've been sitting on a couch for a decade or something. It's like, how do I get started again? I'd say, I just don't know.
I think for everyone is a different, what get started means to each individual is going to be something different, because you describe a couple of different levels. You described a beginner, describe maybe someone who is what I like to call a weekend warrior. They start and stop, but they have an ideal about a concept about a physical fitness. Then you have an advanced person who's maybe was a whether a professional athlete or semi-professional athlete or a high-level collegiate athlete, but that's not what they do now. So you got 3 different levels of what how do I begin looks like. For someone who's never entered a gym, how do I begin literally does start with, okay, did you get out of bed today? Did you make your bed today? Did you shower, brush your teeth? Okay, cool. You took care of those basic things. That might be the starting point.
So rack up those little wins.
Rack up those little wins. And then that is the starting point. And then it goes to, okay, I'm now consistent with doing those things, or I've been consistent with doing those things. All right, let's start with a low wall. Like most people want to eat the whole cake, eat a slice. Most people want to I think the coolest analogy I've heard with how do I begin is think about when you're at a kid's birthday party and the kid has a cake, you know what I'm saying? Typically like between 5 and 8 year olds, you know, because it's kind of like they're trying to figure out the world and they know it's their birthday and they know everybody's celebrating them and it's totally cool, you know? And then when they blow out the candles on the cake and it's time to divvy up the cake and they're like, I want the whole cake. No, they want to share the cake, you know? But not realizing they can't eat the whole cake. As adults, I think what happens is when we're trying to get started, we know because we've already done some research. We already picked up our little gadget. Google's told us what we need to do, but we try to do everything. We try to eat the whole cake.
It gets overwhelming.
It becomes overwhelming. It becomes way overwhelming. So what happens is you try to eat the whole cake and one or two things happen. If you either become so overwhelmed, you go, forget it, I'm done. Or you start breaking those pieces down and realize like, all right, I bit off more than I can chew. Let me scale this back so I can actually progressively take care of this. So one or two things happen, but typically what happens is most people will try to eat the whole cake because that's the current environment of our society right now. It's either 100 or 0. So they try to go all out, 100%. Put 100% effort in, put 120% effort in. Well, how can you put 120% effort in when your body's used to being at 0? So 120% effort, what 120% effort might look like is getting out of bed, setting up a routine, and maybe going for a walk. That's 120% effort in the moment. And then we keep moving that what that 100% or that 120% effort looks like. We keep moving the barrier. Okay, what does it look like 3 months from now? All right, we're consistent, we get out of bed, doing everything, all that stuff, and we're walking. All right, what's the new barrier that we need to cross? So we add another layer, and you add another layer. You just keep adding layers until you get to a point to where, okay, now you can walk in the gym and go, all right, I need to start working out. Where do I start now? That's a new start. Where do I start? And that looks different from a beginner, somebody that's intermediate, to somebody that's advanced. It all looks different.
Nice.